Okay, today we're going to look at Microsoft Photo. It's a photo editing tool that comes free with Windows 10. And there's also a version in Windows 7, which makes it very good to use with your students because they're likely to have access to it. So we can start it by coming down to the start bar and putting in Photo, and the app will come up and I can just double click it and open it. I can run the app from here. This is just showing some various projects that I've been working on, but I'm going to close that and I'm going to come back to File Explorer. And you can see here I've got a range of photos ready to use in today's session. You might like to do that and share them with your students. They then spend less time downloading from the internet. So I'm going to use this bucket image. I'm just double click it, and Photo is my default editor, so it opens here. I've got a few basic tools here. Let's go straight into the menu. So let's just open that up. And I've got 3 tools along the top here, which fit in quite nicely with the standards. So one of the first things students need to be able to do is crop an image. So we can see in this image I've got a lot of blue space, quite a bit of sand. I don't need all that. I want to focus on the bucket, so I'm going to get the handle, drag it in, and the grid can help me decide where I want that image. So I'm going to put my bucket in the middle. It resizes it automatically. And then I'm going to come over here and look at these tools. So lots of the tools in Photo use sliders. So this one will let me straighten the image if I want to. I'd actually like to give mine a little bit of a jaunty angle, but you can see how it works as we drag it up and down. So I'm going to go like this. I could rotate my image. There's not a lot of benefit of rotating my bucket. I don't really want it upside down or on the side, so I'm going to put it here. I can flip it, so I'd quite like the bucket the opposite way around. And I can look at the aspect ratio. Unfortunately, Photo doesn't really offer you a resize option. You probably want to do that in Word or PowerPoint or in the equivalent in Apple or Google apps or what other document editing tools you're using. So I could play with the aspect. I'll make this a 4:3, and you could get your students to experiment with that. I'm going to put mine back to the original. And then lastly, I can come down here and I can save. So if I use to save a copy, Photo doesn't overwrite the existing file, it just appends a file number. So if you look up here, it's added a 2 to the end of my image name. Let's go back into Edit and Create. And I'm going to have a look at the filters. So on the filters, I can enhance my image. This is quite a clear photograph. I'll click on it. You might just see a tiny difference. It just depends on the quality of the photograph. I have a range of different filters, so your students can play with these. I've got one here called Vanilla. Almost makes it black and white. This one kind of gives it a sepia image, and I've got one up here that applies a sunscreen, so I'm going to keep that one and I'm going to save again. If I come back to Edit and Create, we've just got those adjustment tools to look at, and in the standards it does ask your students to be able to change the brightness of the image. So again, some sliders. I can add darkness or reduce the light, or I can increase the light and make the image brighter. And I can do a similar thing with the colour. I can reduce the colour, taking it down to almost black and white, or I can intensify the colour. So I'm going to bring mine back to the middle. I can change the clarity. Now unfortunately you probably won't see very much change in the clarity on this image, but if you look at the sand on the left, you might be able to see that blurring as we reduce the clarity of the image, and then if I move it back to the right it improves. Now a vignette makes the middle of the picture bright and the outside shadowed, so I'm just applying a degree of shadow here to the outside of the image. You can see it getting darker around the side. If I'd got a picture of people and I'd used a flash and they'd got red eyes, I could just use the red eye tool and click on the eyes and it would disappear. I'm going to use the spot fix. Now you can see here I've got a brown line in the bottom of my photo. It's probably a reflection, but I can spot fix it, and what it does is it just blurs that out into the background, and you can see it works quite well. I've taken away most of that brown line from my image. It's not perfect, but it makes a rapid improvement. There we go, and I'm going to save again. Now the thing that I still need to do to meet the standards is I need to add text or a caption to my picture. Now I can do this in Photo with the Add an Animated Text tool. This will actually create a short video, but we can take a photograph or a frame image out of that video and save that as a photo. So my caption for this is just going to be Wales 2020. And then if I come down here, I can apply some different fonts to the image. Not really sure that I really like those. Oh, that one's quite nice. Right, I'm going to go back to the Joy, and now I'm going to save it again. Now this time it will ask me what the quality of the image I want, and I can choose high, medium or low. I'm going to keep it high, and when I export it, it will offer me opportunity to change the file name. Now I'm just going to add the word video to the end, and you can see it's telling me I'm making a video file, and when we export it, it will add an MP4 extension to the end of the file name, which you can see up here. So you can use that to start to help your students understand the different kinds of files. So our photo was a JPG. Now let's just go back to edit and create. Remember I said this was a video, and in here we've got the option to save a photo. That's just loading up, and then I can pull this little marker along the video till I get to the image that I want as a photograph. So that's what I'd like for my photo, and I can save it as a photo. So that's just taking a moment. Now if we just close that back down, we can see here in Explorer all the different image processes that I went through. So here's my original photograph, here's my cropped photo, this is when I applied the different filters. Here I changed the brightness and the colour and added the vignette and took away the mark on the photograph. This is when I added the text as a video, and we can see it's a video file. To put those little video or film markers down the side of the image, and then here's where I saved an image from that video file. So we've managed there to cover everything that's in the standards. There are some other tools in the photo app that you can play with, but what we've done there is to use the elements that are required by the standards. So I hope you can see that was a fairly easy tool to use with your students.